Yeah, let's talk about Immanuel Kant. Well, when I was reading Immanuel Kant as a college student almost 20 years ago, I had a very hard time grasping the concept, so I really hated this philosopher. Now that I read this book one more time, actually Kant became my favorite philosopher. I became completely fascinated with this idea, so I might change the name of this academy as Kant Academy. I'm not even joking. Yes.
Why is it Stella?
Huh?
Why is it Stella in the first
Because I'm Stella? What do you
place?
mean?
I thought Stella was a name of a
No. Okay, yeah. So let's briefly look at the timeline in his life. So he was born in the early 18th century, and he was a child prodigy, very smart from early age. So he got accepted to college at 16, but his family background was pretty humble. So he couldn't continue his education. So during the 20s and early 30s, he had to work as a private tutor, teaching children for wealthy families, moving from one house to another. Yeah, and then at 31, he applied to become a professor, but he got rejected. At age 34, he reapplied, but was rejected again. And from 32 through 46, that's more than 12 years. He started working as a lecturer, not like an official professor. So at that time, the teaching job was like he got paid for the number of students, just like I am. So he was basically a business teaching person. And then it was hard to make a living just out of that. So he had to work as a librarian at the same time. Yeah. But he had this passion, for learning. So he just couldn't stop because that's what he loved doing. And what he really wanted to teach was moral philosophy, but he got offered for other subjects continuously, like math, geography, and metaphysics and logic. So at 46, he was not completely satisfied with the job of a professor teaching logic and metaphysics, but he accepted the role and finally became a professor at 46, right? Uh, so at 46 years old is still a late age in even in modern society to start one's career. But then considering that a person's lifespan was a lot shorter back then, so it was a really, really late beginning, right, in his career. And age 57, he wrote his first book, Critique of Pure Reason, 순수 이성 비판, and that is the most influential one of the most influential philosophy books in modern Western philosophy. And then he wrote that at age 57. At age 57, people usually retire and give up, but then he wrote his first book, and that became one of the shining jewels of Western philosophy. So he's like a hope for late bloomers. Yeah, and then he died at age 79. Yeah. So I wanted to look at the life of Immanuel Kant because not just his ideas, but his personality and his lifestyle were also as much fascinating. Yeah. So he was born into the humble background. Yeah. But he just couldn't stop learning. So it became a burning passion for him, and that's why he did not give up, although there were many circumstances and then restraints that kept him back, but he went on. Yes, for almost a decade, for 10 years, he had to work as a private tutor, moving from one place, one house to another. But then he did his personal studies at night. Yeah, and then he got repeatedly rejected from the professorship in his 30s and 40s for more than 12 years. And he got offered a job for teaching math and metaphysics and geography, which did not particularly enjoy. But the wonderful thing is that at that time he was known as a lecturer, very humorous, very passionate, yeah, and then very lighthearted. And students, started loving him very much, although he was teaching the subjects that he did not like. Actually, the first book that I read from Kant was a book on metaphysics. Metaphysics is 형 이상학. That's a type of philosophy, but that is very detached from our real life and real life discussions. Those metaphysics would deal with questions and subjects like the thing that you see in front of you, is it real? Does it really exist? Or are they deceiving our senses? Those are the topics that metaphysics deals with. And then because that book was amazingly done, I thought he was an expert in metaphysics and he just loved doing it. I thought Kant was such a boring philosopher, but because he couldn't avoid it, he just mastered it. And then when he finally wrote his moral philosophy book at age 57, he was able to support the moral physics very meticulously and very thoroughly and logically because of the things that he did not avoid, like math and metaphysics. The challenges were thrown at him, but he didn't avoid them. He decided to master them. That's why he became, almost like a perfect philosopher. Yeah. Uh, and yeah, his personal lifestyle is very interesting as well. So he kept this law, he maintained this very disciplined lifestyle. So he had a very strict daily routine. Get up at 5 in the morning, at 5:05, sit at the table and have breakfast and have a walk around time at the exact time every day. And then the townspeople kept their clocks according to his walks because he was there on the exact same time every day. Well, is it because he was born to be such a disciplined person from the beginning, from birth? Actually, that was the opposite. He knew that he was a person with a lot of limitations, and he was a person who could be, swept very easily by desires and instincts and emotions, and that's why he worked extra harder to keep that, routine. Yeah. And then that just like made me think about myself. I am very emotional. I am just like F100 person. And I just like I make decisions sometimes completely based on emotions and they turn out to be wrong and irrational when I think back. So I thought that, oh, since I'm an especially emotional person, I really try to, bring in more discipline into my life, just like Kant. Yeah. And then he avoided meeting too many people, like talking to too many people, but he did not seclude himself or isolate himself. He had a very nice group of good friends, like a company that he regularly met and talked about the subjects that he considered meaningful and intelligent. And he treated them all equally because those friends included not just scholars or philosophers or college professor, but they included merchants, just 상인들, or 아줌마들, just housewives. So he did not discriminate people based on status or level of education. So he was a humble guy. Yeah, and he was a guy without a prejudice or bias. And yeah, he was very careful, very careful. So there is this famous anecdote. So this woman, she loved Kant. She fell madly in love with him. So she basically proposed to him. So Kant said that, wait a second, I need some time, whether to get married to you or not. Give me some time. Okay. And then Kant thought about the reasons to marry her and not to marry her. And then he wrote them all down. And there were 350 reasons not to marry her. And there were 354 reasons to marry her. So he finally decided to get married to her and then went to the dad's house and then he said, I finally have made up my mind. Could you let me marry your daughter? You know what the dad's answer was? Hey, my daughter already got married to another man 7 years ago. So that's how cautious he was. That's how he tried to, keep his life as clean as possible. And then he developed this categorical imperatives. Come up with a law that applies not only to yourself but to everyone. Then that should be your moral guideline. He actually tried to live the law of every moment in his life. Yeah, and then he took joy out of his walks, and tried to stay close to the nature, and that's how it took pleasures, happiness out of his life. So I thought that, oh, I want to be like Kant. I want to be a person like Kant. That would be really wonderful. Yeah, not living my life to gain, recognition and approval from other people, but, just like going my way. No matter how much it takes, no matter how long it takes, just like going my way, only driven from the passion that results from the bottom of my heart, not to seek approval, not to seek popularity, yeah, not easily swayed by what other people might think of me, yeah. And then, oh, today I applied categorical imperative in my own life. So it was early in the morning or last night, I don't quite remember. Cars were not running, so the roads were completely empty. So I thought that I'm really tired. I just want to jaywalk. And then I thought that let's think about this behavior of mine. If everybody starts jaywalking in the world, would society operate well? No. No, this cannot be a universal behavior, so let's not jaywalk. So I applied that into my life, right? Okay, so that's how much I became so fascinated with his ideas, right? Okay, so Kant is giving us this idea of true freedom, and that is called autonomy. Yeah, and being autonomous is being free. And sometimes we could think that being free is following our desire, following what our instinct tells us to do. But he says that being autonomous is not being guided by our instincts or habits or social pressure, but we're establishing a law for ourselves and keeping the law. Because I know you could think that following the law, isn't it a limitation? Isn't it really suffocating? Isn't that like a constraint upon your life? Why is following a law considered freedom? Oh, because it's a law that you developed for yourself, right? That's why following the law considers, autonomous according to Kant's philosophy. Yeah. So if you are acting out of, you know, your animal instincts like hunger or fear or thirst or social pressure or because of desires to please other people, meet other people's expectations for wealth or status, you are actually not respecting yourselves as rational beings, but you are actually considering treating yourself as tools. Yeah. You are treating yourself as means, not as an end. And then there was this example that Michael Sandel gave in the book. So there were two guys at the dorm room, college dorm room, and then one guy was staying up late writing a paper. Yeah, and then what did the other guy ask this man? Why are you, hey, why are you writing your paper so hard late at night, 3 in the morning? And what was this guy's answer to that? Huh? Well, he said that, oh, I want to get a good grade. And then the other person said, why do you want to get a good grade? And what did he say to that? I want to get a job in investment banking. Oh, why do you want to get a job in investment banking? To make a lot of money. Why do you want to make a lot of money? Because I like lobster. I want to have a lot of lobsters. Yeah. And then it seems like he's all doing that autonomously, like out of his free will. But Michael Sandel was taking this example as a perfect example of heter heteronomy, example of heteronomy. Yeah, because you're not performing that action for its own sake, not because of its intrinsic worth, not because you take value out of it, not because you're thinking that this behavior, this action itself is valuable in itself, but because this will lead to another external reward. Yeah, external reward, on and on and on. Yeah. So according to Michael Sandel, this student is not free. This student is treating himself as a tool. He's treating himself as a means to uh, please and meet social expectation that is placed upon him, whether by society, whether by parents or family or friends, whatnot, and that he's not considering himself as a being with dignity. Yeah. So this actually made me think a lot. Yeah. So, and then I started, revisiting my own personal goals, and I started analyzing whether my personal goals are really autonomous, whether they are in touch with my deepest personal values, or whether they are actually heteronymous, whether I have these values that are externally imposed upon me. And then I was really surprised to find out many of my goals were externally placed upon me. Yeah, so 3 years ago, I quit my previous workplace and I started my own academy, right? And then when I was quitting, my coworkers and my bosses, they told me that uh, they did not like explicitly tell me at my face, but then I heard that so and so said that behind my back that, oh, Stella teacher is gonna quit this hagwon, but I'm 100% sure that her hagwon is not gonna succeed and she's gonna come back and then she's gonna beg for a job. That's what I heard from multiple different sources. So I thought that, you guys, I'm going to prove you wrong. And then I really wanted to become successful, not because I really had that desire, just like Kant. Kant didn't pursue his academics to make money or to prove himself to other people. He did that because of pure passion, right? I did not do that. My motivation was proving other people wrong, and then gaining reputation and gaining approval from other people, right? So I was actually treating myself as means, as a tool, not as an end in itself, right? So I realized that. Yeah. And I have been forming my personal goals depending on, how much money would I be able to make out of this. Yeah. And then how awesome and cool I'm gonna be look, and then how I am advancing compared to my peers, and then unknowingly I have slipped into a very severe form of heteronomy. That's what I realized. So I just like revisited what my core values are, and I realized that actually I'm not really this type of person who wants that much money in life, and I'm not really into like buying flashy clothes, or I'm really fine with just one bathroom. I don't need to have two or three or four different bathrooms in one house. One bathroom is enough for me. Yeah, I don't need to have like 10 different bedrooms. I'm really good with 3 bedrooms. That's just enough for me. Like whether it's 5 bedrooms or 7 bedrooms and 10 bedrooms, it just like it doesn't make a difference to me. But when I was watching YouTube, success YouTubes, motivational YouTube, they all talked about make money, make money. I said, okay, I'm gonna do that. That's why I tried to, follow their advice, because I really needed to, motivate myself. But then those were externally placed upon me, I think. And then I realized the 3 most important values that I personally hold is like family, yeah, and then health, and then the peace of mind, yeah. And then I started thinking Kant's principles. Oh, if family, health, and peace of mind, if they were to be categorical imperatives, then it has to not only apply to myself, but it has to apply to everybody universally, and it still has to make sense. And then I thought that, oh yeah, it makes sense. If everybody is happy with their family, then the world is going to be a better place. If everybody is healthy mentally and physically, then the world is going to operate better. And then everybody has that peace of mind, then it's going to be a more peaceful society. So I thought that, well, if family, health, and peace of mind are important to me, then these values are important to my students as well. So, and I thought that I started having a different vision in how I'm gonna run this 학원. And then, like at the beginning, I I named my 학원 as Stella 극상이 영어학원, and that's the title. And then, uh, just because it has like 극상이 in the name, it assumes that they are, hierarchies. Yeah, in the students, right? Like that's the basic assumption in the title. But and then I took pride in the fact that, oh, I am teaching the best tier students in Korea. Like even in Daejeon, I am teaching the best students. That was a part of the pride that I held. But I was thinking that if you think about like the how competitive this Korean society is and how birth rate is like dropping like to record rates, that's like a lot of it stems from the fact that the society is overly competitive, right? And overly hierarchical, and everybody is driven to the same goal. And then like all the students are not respected for who they are. Yeah. Not everybody is cut out to be a doctor. Not everybody is cut out to be a lawyer, right? And everybody has different talents. But since this Korean society does not have the capacity to hold the different colors of individuals and different colors of the talents, and that's why the life is really hard, and the birth rate is going down. And as a teacher, like I'm really like a tiny like a particle pick up dust in society. But by naming my 학원 that, and then by promoting competition over and over, am I intensifying am I contributing to intensifying this problem, the social ills? And I thought that, oh, I shouldn't be doing this any longer. Yeah, so I thought that, well, if I really want to become a teacher, yeah, and then if I want my job to be in aligned with my core values, family, health, and what was the last one? I forgot. Peace of my mind. Then I shouldn't be just like promoting those values in my personal life, but I should be promoting the values in the students' lives as well, right? That's what I thought that. And so in the beginning of the talk, when I said that I want to change my Hagwon's name as Kant's Library, I wasn't even joking. Yeah, because I was studying TOEFL. I mean, it's like totally heteronymous, right? It's like imposed by like American university. You Korean people, you Asians, you have to take this test if you want to get into our school. That is imposed upon us, right? And then if you strip off all of the externalities, then all that what we are left with in our education is like, I think, reading. We read just for fun, right? It is valuable in itself, right? The activity of reading is like valuable in itself. So I just like thought that, oh yeah, maybe I'm gonna, structure everything around reading. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. So just like it made me think a lot. The Kant's ideas. Yeah. So let us like pause for a second and let us think and ponder. Who is writing our story of life? Is it the people around us, or is it socially formed, or do you want to be authors of your own lives? Yeah. And then the Kant is throwing us a very important question to us, right? Yeah. And then this is about acting out of duty has greater moral worth than acting out of emotion. Yeah, this at the first glance, it does not make sense too much because let's say there is a person who's very altruistic, very compassionate, very empathetic, and then that person loves animals and loves volunteering at the animal shelter. So she does that every week. But she's a good person, yeah, and then she's doing a good deed. But according to Kant, that action does not have moral worth because she takes pleasure out of it. She's doing that is because of her personal inclination and personal, feelings and emotions, right? Uh, and let's say that that same person, she went through a tragic accident. Like she got hurt in the brain, so she completely lost the ability to feel anything. Yeah, she doesn't have any feelings any longer towards anything, but she still performs the volunteering service at animal shelter purely out of sense of duty. I need to do this because I have this categorical imperative. She does that. And then she's not enjoying it at all. And look at that person. He's not enjoying his service at all. Yeah, kindness at all. I'm doing this because I need to do this. That's what he is doing. But according to Kant, this kind of action has more moral worth. Then does kind of want this world to be filled with robotic people who are performing services and kindness out of the sense of duty. I don't think that's Kant's intention. Yeah, Kant, of course, he acknowledges that this world be a much better off place if it's filled with, you know, kindness loving people. Yeah, that's we cannot deny that. But I think the reason why he brought up is to emphasize our capacity for reason. Yeah. So as a human, we have the ability to reason. 이성적으로 판단할 수 있는 능력. We have the ability to reasonably think and logically think. And on the other hand, we have the emotion. Yeah, we have the emotion. And I think he wanted us to realize that we are human beings with logical ability and reasonable ability. So sometimes there are days we don't just like feel like doing it. We just like don't feel like helping other people. We're just really tired. So we don't want to we don't want to be kind or generous. But Kant is saying that kindness is not being done out of, the temporary, emotional urges, but kindness is done out of duty. That kind of kindness is more stable, right? Yeah, because if we are generous, depending on our emotion at every moment, then that kind of kindness is going to be very unstable. So he is actually is trying to establish a firm, a more firm ground, more firm foundation for kindness. Yeah. So that's why I think this idea was powerful because I am totally controlled by my emotions. Sometimes, like when I feel good, I'm like, ah, and then when I'm grumpy, I'm like, so what? So I should be more stable in my actions, right? Okay, how are morality, freedom, and reason interconnected in Kant's moral philosophy? Yeah, those ideas are very tightly interconnected to each other. Yeah. So, as I said before, some people could say that some people could raise this criticism against Kant. Hey, Kant, if you're following the law, if you're being moral, and then like if you have to follow that law all the time without an exception, how can you call it a free life? It's not free at all, Kant. But he is saying that no, it's a law that you decided upon yourself. It's a law that you legislated for yourself. So if you follow the law, it's freedom. Yeah. So where does it start? It starts with the reason. The reason we humans, we have the capacity to use our reason. We have the capacity to decide what is right. Yeah. So I'm going to define what reason is. Yeah. I'm going to define what reason is. So reason is the ability to decide what is right for myself, but not just for myself, but for everybody at the same time. Yeah, that is the ability to reason. And out of that reason, if you reason through your possible actions and then possible behaviors and possible plans, then everybody um, comes towards the same conclusion. Yeah, because it has to be good for yourself and good for other people at the same time, right? And then you set that up as your own principle, as your law, um, and then that is your categorical imperative. That is your duty. That is the moral law that you need to follow. And then if you follow that moral law, then you are completely free because you are following the guideline that you set up yourself. So, for example, let's say that you are uh, you're getting off a subway and then you saw this wallet lying on the subway platform and then there were $200 inside it and then you thought that, oh, there's money in it, I'm really tempted, oh, if I had that money I could buy this and this and that, and then you are feeling very tempted. That is inclination, that is instinct, right? But you didn't follow that, you didn't go that way, but then you used your reason. Okay, Jimin, let's think. Well, Park Jimin, let's think. If everybody, picked up stolen items, like if everybody copied my behavior in the world, what kind of world is this gonna be? Yeah, it's gonna be very chaotic. So I shouldn't be doing that. Yeah, it's not good for everybody. Also, not good for me. Okay, then you use your reason, and then you set up your moral principle, and you followed it. Because you are using your reason and you followed it, you are free, and that's what Kant was saying. Yeah. Okay. So I think with this idea, it actually frees us. It gives us more liberty and freedom because Kant is basically telling us that we human beings, we are not animals controlled by instincts, controlled by our desires, but we have this capacity to think and reason and decide what is best for us. Yeah. So I always fall for Coke and like sweets. But if I decide, if I have the reason to decide what is best for me, eating the vegetables and eating, keeping a clean diet is going to help me in my health. And then if everybody had that behavior, everybody will be healthy, right? You know that, but you don't follow it because it was part of your habit, and then it's more convenient. But then if you try to invite more discipline into yourself and do the right thing, it's not actually limiting yourself, it's actually liberating yourself. So yeah. Okay, so I thought that I will try to be more free and liberated by having more discipline in myself. And nowadays, we're living in a world. There is a lot of social pressure, and there are many different voices and opinions from different outlets of opinions, like media and our peers, and there are social expectations that are imposed upon us. And if we don't have, if we try if we don't try to access our reason constantly, just like everybody, remember that you have reason inside you. And then if you are not aware of the fact that it's very easy to be swayed by peer opinion or media opinion or popular opinion, the outside external influences. But always remember, you are dignified beings, as Kant said. You're dignified beings because you have the reason. You have the reason. And then always try to access your reason. Always ask yourself, um, you are your best teacher. You are your best mentor. You have that capacity inside you. You have your own Siddhartha in you. You have your own Kant in you. So you don't have to ask other people. You don't have to ask even parents, like friends or teachers. You just really need to access your pure reason. And then your pure reason is going to answer you. This is the right path and this is good for you and this is best for you. Yeah. So we are not just beings with emotions and we are not just beings who seek convenience all the time, but we are these beings with clear moral thinking and moral capacity. And then if we choose the path that our reason tells us to go, then we become not only better people, we become actually freer people because being free is the core of our identity, right? Yeah. Kant's categorical imperatives. Yeah. Categorical imperatives are absolute moral rules that we all need to follow. There are two. Categorical imperative means the law that we need to follow no matter what. Yeah, the first one is set up a rule for yourself, but that rule has to be applicable to everybody in the world at the same time. Only then your rule is gonna make sense. Yeah. So let's take an example. I want to cheat. I want to look at other people's answers and I want to copy. And they're torn between the two options. Should I cheat or should I not? Oh, should I cheat or not? Then if we apply the categorical imperative, okay, Jimin, let's stop and think, what if everybody in the world started cheating? Then what kind of world is this gonna be? Yeah, the world is not gonna be operated, you know? Uh, and the school will be meaningless and education will be meaningless, right? Yeah, so only do the things that makes sense to other people at the same time. Yeah, that is the first categorical imperative. Universalize your maxim. Maxim means the law. Universalize your personal law. Set up your personal law and then universalize that. If that still makes sense, then you can do it. Yeah. And then the second categorical imperative is treat people not as means, but treat people as ends. Uh, Ooh, what does that mean in Korean? Everybody, tell me. Treat people not as means, but treat people as ends. Could you translate that into Korean, everybody? 사람을 대할 때 수단으로 대하지 말고 목적으로 대하라. That's right. So if you treat people as means, as a tool, you're basically saying that that person is valuable because of a certain function that he's performing. That person is valuable because of the certain benefit that person provides to me. Yeah, but a human being is valuable just because, just for who he is. It doesn't have to be beneficial. It doesn't have to perform a job for other people, like a service for other people. That person is valuable for who he is, right? Yeah, and treat people as end. And he is 목적. He is 목적 in himself. Yeah, in himself. And then I reflected upon this maxim, and then I started thinking about my personal life, and I thought about how I treated my family. Yeah, and then there were many moments when I treated my family unintentionally, like unknowingly, as means, not as ends in themselves. So my family, I love my family because he's doing this and that for me. And then I get really irritated and annoyed. Oh, why isn't he doing that? Why is he doing that? I'm really frustrated. Yeah. And then, oh, my parents are doing this for me. I'm really grateful. Oh, my parents are not doing that for me. Oh, I really hate that. Yeah. I think everybody is not born to serve other people. My family is not born to serve me. They're not born to, meet my desires. They're not a tool. They are ends in themselves and they have their own hopes and dreams and goals. And then if we support each other and respect each other for what they pursue in their life, what they want to achieve in their lives, then I think that's how we treat our families as beings with dignities. Yeah. So this is a final slide. So there were criticisms of Kant's moral philosophy. The first philosophy is the one that I have brought up a couple of times earlier. So if you're following a law, how can you call that a freedom? Isn't following a law the opposite to freedom? But as I said, you have the reason. Yeah, and then with that reason, you developed your own law, own personal principle. It's not a law that is externally placed upon you, but it's a law that you came up with yourself. And then if you follow that, that's complete freedom. Yeah. And then the second criticism is, okay, can I just come up with my own personal law? I love that actually because I want to make it a law to eat a cheeseburger on Friday, and I want to make it a law to watch YouTube shorts, at least 100 YouTube shorts every day. Can I make that a law? Yeah, but and then the possible criticism is, if everybody could develop their own personal laws, what if everybody's personal law is different from each other? What is the answer to that? I already explained to you that. What would Kant say to that? Everybody.
To universalize vaccine.
Universalize your accent. Oh yeah. So reason is the capacity that every human being commonly holds, right? So regardless of the culture, regardless of religion, regardless of ethnicity, if you're a human being, and then if you use your pure reason, then everybody is gonna come to the same conclusion. That's what he said. It's not like a different version of, personal law for everybody. Yeah. Okay. So this is it for Immanuel Kant.